Hi, welcome to Marrakesh, Morocco. I'm Dr. Laura Gallagher, and this is part one of our series, Why Create Company Culture? The competitive edge you didn't know you could have. Let's get started. Every leader wants to believe that their organization is as effective as possible. You pour your heart and soul into your business, your team, your customers, and your clients. You want to put as much value as you can into the world with as little waste as possible. But organizations are complex, and people, forget about it. Do any of you feel like you really understand people as well as you want to? Or what about yourself? So how do you create an organizational culture of positivity, accountability, or productivity? And what is organizational culture anyway? We like to keep that part simple. It's how we do things here. But why do we even care about organizational culture? Well, let me tell you how I got into this work. On February 1st, 2003, families, employees, and fans sat in the stands at the shuttle landing facility, waiting for the return of the 7 astronauts aboard the Space Shuttle Columbia. But when the arrival time came, the shuttle did not. Just before 9 a.m. that morning, Mission Control lost contact with the crew, and within minutes, it was apparent that the orbiter had disintegrated upon re-entry, killing all 7 astronauts on board. Why did this happen? From a technical and physical standpoint, during Columbia's final launch, a piece of foam fell off the external tank and struck the leading edge of the orbiter's wing. When the orbiter re-entered the atmosphere, the damage to the wing allowed hot gases to enter the wing, which was more than the vehicle could withstand. But really, why did this happen? NASA knew about the foam strike. There are over 130 cameras capturing every moment of a shuttle launch. So they were doing calculations, estimations, trying to figure out the extent of the damage. They even had a plan, albeit an expensive one, to investigate the damage from space. But for a lot of reasons, including the fact that they had no plan even if they discovered it was catastrophic damage, they chose not to investigate that further. Now, the people at NASA care immensely about the lives and the safety of the crew. So why would they make decisions that seem so careless when it comes to life and death? Well, they did make these decisions. And the Columbia Accident Investigation Board report included multiple chapters on culture and decision-making. So why did this happen? Pressures of schedule and budget and fear of speaking up against management were quieting the voices that had the gravest concerns about safety. That, plus over a decade of success with the vehicle, created a sense of overconfidence and a decreased focus on safety across the agency. As a result of the report, there were immediate changes to the design of the organization, and teams like mine were put in place to continuously monitor the culture. In a lot of organizations, culture emerges without intention. Yet every organization is designed perfectly to get whatever results it gets. So it's incredibly useful for leaders to pay attention to organizational culture. Now, not every organization faces life and death as potential consequences or implications of a poor culture, but loss comes in many forms. Being unintentional with your culture leads to wasted time and resources. The turnover rate for organizations with poor culture is 48%. Turnover costs organizations billions of dollars a year collectively. How much is it costing you? Not to mention all of the loss of time from the distraction of turnover that exists in organizations. And then the employees who stay in an organization that's not intentional are far less productive. They have conflicting priorities, no clear sense of direction, and no personal attachment to the mission. Most leaders acknowledge how important company culture is. The reality is they just don't know how to make the culture what they want it to be. Adding a ping pong table or bringing bagels in to feed the staff on Mondays doesn't make company culture. So leaders are thirsty to know, how do we create the company culture that we want to have? How do we make our culture our competitive edge? So check back in with us next week for part 2 of our series, where we get more into the how, including how building your competitive culture starts from the inside out.